Hi, welcome to Drinkosaurus, where we take ancient cocktail recipes into the modern era. My name's Matt, I'm your host, and let's get drinking. In this episode, we're going to be talking about how to take the most classic of the cocktail recipes, the old-fashioned, and changing it around into something new and something unique. The old-fashioned is one of the earliest cocktails, which is simply made with taking 2 ounces of your spirit, and that's it. Of course, you add a few slight modifiers, generally in the form of bitters, typically it's Angostura bitters, and also some muddled orange and some simple syrup, which is in here. The old-fashioned is one of the easiest cocktails to make a variant on because all the ingredient you need is basically just a spirit. So if you want to change it with rye, you can change it with rye. If you want to change it with gin, you can change it with gin. The variant comes in with the fruit that you're muddling in it and also the bitters that you're using. So if you have a bitters, you got it as a gift, you don't know what to do with it, making an old-fashioned variant is your best choice. In this episode, we're going to be making a variant on the old-fashioned, but we're going to take it in a completely new direction by, instead of using bourbon or anything similar like rye or dark rum, and we're going to be using gin. And this drink is called the Fashion Forward. To help me today, I'm going to be bringing in Danielle from Danielle Tries Weird Things.
Where am I?
My living room. My bar. Wherever this is taking place. I brought you here to help me out with making a variant on the old-fashioned today. So I know how much you love really boozy cocktails, so I thought you'd be the perfect person to test this out with me.
Yeah, that does make sense. I am an expert on alcohol and food in general and things.
That are weird.
Yes.
Let's get to it. Today I'm going to be making a really strange variant on the old-fashioned, and I couldn't think of anybody better to help me sample with a few things. Think you can handle it?
Weird's my middle name.
Cool. In the spirit of weird things, we're going to be substituting pretty much every ingredient of the old-fashioned with something new. Would you like to do the honors?
Yeah.
You're gonna need a little bit more oomph than that. Oh, usually I do one at a time, but I guess we'll just handle all of them at once.
It's my first time.
As mentioned previously, this recipe substitutes out bourbon for gin. This is the St. George Terroir American Gin, which has less of a juniper berry flavor and more of a foresty flavor.
Smells like a forest.
So this gin is extremely tasty, and it would be a shame if the foresty flavor got lost with other ingredients. Since the old-fashioned template features just the spirit and a few modifiers, I can't think of a more perfect spirit for the cocktail. So we will put that over there, and let's see what other ingredients you snapped in for us. It seems you snapped in 2 different types of bitters this time.
Wow.
And they are not Angostura bitters. So these are a little bit different. And actually, before I reveal what the bitters are to you, I'll show you how you can actually sample bitters without tasting them. Because you really shouldn't taste them on their own. They're kind of very potent.
Sounds like something I should taste on my own at a later date.
Maybe some habanero bitters. Okay, so what you do is hold out your hand. Mm-hmm. Both hands. Do a little drop.
Okay.
Drop. And then you rub them together. Then you smell. What does it smell like?
Smells nice. Smells kind of flowery but citrusy. Like a citrus flower.
Basically, that's actually a really good guess. So these are hopped grapefruit bitters. So hopped grapefruit bitters are a mix of hops and grapefruit, as the name suggests. And I've found that grapefruit actually complements this gin really well. It doesn't quite fit in with the foresty theme, but I don't know, just grapefruit seems to work with it. It's a really good substitute citrus if lemon, lime, or orange, the typical citrus, aren't quite doing it for you. We also have our second bitters. So once again, oh, I have a lot in mine. Ooh.
Smells kind of licoricey?
Yeah. So these are Dandelion bitters, which really have a fennel sort of flavor, which fennel kind of tastes like anise, kind of like black licorice. There's other kind of more like herbal flavors in this one too, which I prefer. There are bitters that are primarily meant to have the black licorice flavor. I don't want too much of that in this drink, so the dandelion bitters work well. And it gives it just a little bit more complexity. We're trying not to make it just the gin, because that would just be a neat gin and we wouldn't have a cocktail. This is adding a little bit more complexity to keep that in balance.
It smells like it would go well with the kind of forestiness of the gin.
I agree. We also substitute our orange for a grapefruit to fit in with our kind of grapefruit variant, and it seems the simple syrup stayed the same. You can't see what's in here. It's basically a 1-to-1 mix of water and sugar, just to add some sweetness to it. These are all the ingredients that we need. The ratios are pretty simple this time. We're going to have basically 2 ounces of our gin and just little amounts of each of these. So little, in fact, that we don't need to include them in the ratio. You ready to get mixing?
Let's do it.
All right, Danielle, could you snap in our mixing ingredients for us?
Sure can. I'm getting good at this.
You're getting really good at this. Let's see what we got. So we have our ingredients over here, and we have some new tools today. We have our 2-inch measuring cup. We have our grapefruit peeler. We have a muddler and our strainer and some ice. Usually we start with our ice in the glass, but we're actually going to do this in a little bit of a different order.
Oh.
If only I had a bar spoon. Oh, that was convenient. With the old-fashioned, we're not just gonna plop ingredients in the glass. This one, the order of the ingredients does matter. We're actually gonna start with our simple syrup. So we're gonna take 1 bar spoon of that. And if you like your drinks a little sweeter, you can add more. And you know what? Let's make this one a little bit sweeter. Let's add a second bar spoon. What we're gonna do now is we're going to add in our bitters, which is going to mix with our kind of simple syrup ingredient, which we're also going to add some grapefruit to. So let's move on to that next. This bitters is more of one of a typical dash sort of thing. I don't know why they don't make bitters have the same distribution method, where this one's a dropper. So let's have you put in 12 drops.
That's a lot of drops. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Let's just put in the rest of the dropper. Really, it doesn't matter. For these with the droppers, like, since the bitters are so heavily featured, feel free to go crazy with them, but not too crazy, because these get potent really quickly. With this, it doesn't quite, oh, it does dash well. Okay, usually it just dribbles, so we'll add 2 of that. Really, these ratios are from experience. If you want it more grapefruity, put in more grapefruit. If you want more dandelion, fennel-y sort of flavor, put in more of these. So next, we're gonna put in some peel, and we're gonna muddle the flavor of the grapefruit peel in there. The hopped grapefruit bitters don't quite get the sweetness of the grapefruit. So,
Grapefruit. So,
that was great. So we're going to put 1 peel in there, and this is our muddler. We're going to kind of like mush it up. So why don't you start doing that?
Do I just like stir it? Or
Just like really, really take out your anger.
I have a lot of anger.
I know, it's apparent. If you use a sugar cube in place of simple syrup, you can use this to mash up the sugar cube.
Keep going?
I think you're good.
Is that good?
Let me just give it a little. Yeah. So you can't smell it over there, but you can start getting the.
It smells very nice.
It does smell very nice.
Really brought out the citrus and the grapefruit.
So we're gonna add our ice. Caution, loud. And we don't need that. We don't need that. So all that's left is to add in our 2 ounces of gin. Since the ratios don't matter too much in this drink, If you're feeling a little bit extra boozy that day, put in 3 ounces of gin. Probably just add more bitters to compensate. So, Danielle, I'll have you do the honors of stirring.
Oh, wow.
You want to try not to jostle the ice around. Go around the outside. There you go. Pick up the speed, pick up the pace.
Tastes good.
It's good. We're going to be using a rocks glass, which is how an old fashioned is typically served. It's also the glass that you would use if you're just having a spirit neat or on the rocks. Since this is essentially just our spirit with a few modifiers, the glass is appropriate. So we're going to pour it in. Try not to get any ice in there because we already have ice. I use a large ice cube because it melts not as fast, so your drink won't get as diluted.
Oh, that makes sense.
It's math.
I thought it just was for the aesthetic value, but
I mean,
practical and aesthetic.
Both are important.
Yes.
So once again, we'll get another wedge of grapefruit. You can go crazy. You can put some orange in there too. Why not? And we have our fashion forward variant on the old fashioned.
Looks nice.
Let's give it a sip. So right away, you get the notes of the foresty flavor from it, but accompanying those is one, the sweetness from the simple syrup mellows it out a little bit, so you're not just drinking a straight spirit. And you also get the sweetness from the grapefruit and a little bit of the herbalness from the bitters. So an old fashioned is pretty spirit forward, and I know spirit forward is not your thing. Let's see if you can handle it.
Smells nice.
Smells nice.
It's a bit powerful, but I like the balance of the grapefruit and the simple syrup, and I think having it in with the large ice cube, I don't know, kind of cools it down and makes it...
That's what ice cubes do. Variants on the old fashioned are great because most people don't like the traditional old fashioned. Either they don't like the bourbon, they don't like the spirit content of it, and sometimes an old fashioned is just not the right drink for the occasion. This is a nice, refreshing variant on the old fashioned using some new ingredients. That is good. Needs more grapefruit though. Oh, now it smells like grapefruit.
Yeah. Oh my god, yes.
Drinkosaurus is a production of Little Giant Monsters. If you'd like to see other projects we're working on, check us out at littlegiantmonsters.com.
You can also find us on social media at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
If you'd like to see more of Danielle, make sure to check out her series, Danielle Tries Weird Things. If you would like to see Danielle having really funny reactions to different types of weird alcohols, make sure to check out the Danielle Tries Weird Things Alcohol Edition.
Part 1 and Part 2.
If you have any suggestions for future videos or have an ingredient that you're not quite sure how to work into a cocktail, make sure to comment below and I'll try to incorporate it into future episodes. If you would like to see more content, make sure to subscribe, stay creative, and drink responsibly. Stop. That concludes our episode on the old-fashioned variant. If you're interested in seeing more, there's also an episode on a Manhattan variant and a Negroni variant.